So good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to our last week of this practicum for the semester. And I have worked with Samantha today and Matthew about finishing up the year numerical wise, and you guys have all done a great job and are to be commended. We'll have a class today and we'll have a class on Thursday to wrap things up. And we'll talk more about that a little bit later. But first of all, I want you to take a look at your accomplishments this semester. First of all, you did the first requirement is you got rid of all your inventory and you sold it, and that's great. You also were able to get more revenue stream from and more than above than what your scenario called upon to be able to get some donations for your charity, and that enabled you to for us to write a check to your House of Ruth charity next week for $2,343.37. Samantha and I have reconciled that to our bank and to the financials, and that is a solid number. So that is a very good semester. Even under normal circumstances, that's a pretty decent semester. So you all are to be commended, and I commend all of you for that. Everything has been accounted for, everything has been deposited, and everything is in good shape. So I want to thank all of you, every team member, from Mr. Walker to Mr. Anderson. You all have done very well and have accounted for yourselves very well in this class, and I want to thank you. Our duties for this week are a couple. The first one was today, where we reconciled and closed down the year, and we've accomplished that, determined how much of a charity check we're going to have. The next accomplishment is for me to post your grades for the last half of the sales period, the 25% assessment for the last half of the selling period, and I will post that by Thursday. So you can see what grade you are for that. And I can assure you, for most of you, it'll be an outstanding grade. Also for Thursday, you have your reflection paper to be posted to Blackboard. That'll be our last class that you're responsible for. Naturally, we have no final examination in this class. Your final examination is you completed it on Sunday with the completion of your sales period and your reflection paper that you're going to post on Thursday. If all those postings are made and done, then I will have your grades for you a week from Thursday, May 28th, posted to Blackboard. The course evaluations, I am told, have not been sent out yet for the final part of the spring semester, and I believe those are supposed to be done today or tomorrow. And I will give you a link on Thursday so you can complete your evaluations, and so you can get your course grade at the earliest possible time, which is May 28th. I do not post the grades to the registrar's office until Monday, June 8th. That's when the registrar requires us to post the grades. So you have to wait probably a couple of weeks for your grade if you do not complete your course evaluation. That's my blackmail, and I've told you about that before. So complete your course evaluation when the link is up, and you'll get your grade a week from Thursday. There is one other class that's going to be done, but it's not going to be a class. It's going to be next Thursday at 4 o'clock, Thursday, May 26th. We're going to have an entire practicum Zoom session where all the 78 students of the practicum will be in a Zoom session along with your faculty. And hopefully we'll be able to invite your charities to be at that presentation. At that presentation, we'll just celebrate the end of the year, talk about the pros and cons of the experience of running a company in a pandemic, and conclude the year on a nice note next Tuesday afternoon. That is not a mandatory participation by you. I would appreciate that you would be there, especially this team, since you are going to be one of the top leading teams in the practicum. Whether you're number 1 or number 2 is yet to be decided, and I'm honest about that. Do not know. I'm still working with some of the other teams. So that would be a nice thing for you to be at that. Maybe have your parents sit in on the session to see what you've accomplished this semester. Be kind of fun. I'm going to have all the CEOs of each team say about a 3 or 4 minute little review of the team and the year. So Matthew, we'll talk more about that on Thursday, but you'll be asked to do that for your team on that May 26th. So it'll be a nice celebration and a review of the year, and I hope you all can participate in that. I'm still in the process of organizing that and making sure all the infrastructure and the logistics will work out, but I think it will. And plan on that next Tuesday, and we'll talk a little bit more about that on Thursday. So technically, our year is finished. Our semester is finished, except for that reflection paper and some last minute. I have to cut the check. I'll probably send the check out to House of Ruth at the end of next week, the 28th or the 29th. I send them all out in once, so once all the teams are completely wrapped up, I'm still have some teams that still need to do some stuff, but that's when we'll do that. And I'll let you all know when I do send out that check, and any response I get back from the House of Ruth will be forwarded to you guys over the summer, and usually they do send us some nice things. So that's where we stand this week and where we are. I would like now to take a few moments, and Emily was in our last group, last team, and I'd like to go around the group here, around the team members, and just ask you for a preliminary reflection. I know you're going to be writing a paper about it, but a preliminary reflection about the semester. What were your own personal beliefs about how it all went in your mind and according to your duties and responsibilities in Team Credit Card? Also, if you had to do it over, what would you do differently? What would you change? If you knew in advance that we were going to be in a pandemic, if you knew in advance we were going to be in a pandemic, I would have taken you to Vegas. But if you knew in advance that we were going to have a pandemic, and what would you change to do over again in your own particular duties? I can think of a couple suggestions, very minor, and let's talk about that. So I'm going to call on Andrea first. Andrea, Miss Prado, what was your reflections, or what are your thoughts on your own piece, a part of this Team Credit Card during the course of the semester?
I think we did very well. I think we were successful, even though we were not in the most prepared circumstances. I think we all did well. I think we all pulled our own weight, which I thought was very important. I was definitely, because I didn't know some of our team members, I was a little worried that some people wouldn't pull their own weight, but luckily everybody did a great job. If I were to do this again, or just come in, new and start over, I would say that as a team we should establish a good communication system. I think we did well in that regard as well, just because communication is important, even if we're all distant and apart, just to make sure that everything runs smoothly and there's no hiccups along the way. But yeah, I think we all did very well. I had I had fun, even if it was from home, making the sales and interacting with others, and getting to know everybody along the way. So yeah, I had a good time.
Good, Andrea. Thank you. That was very good. What would you take going forward from this class into future courses or future jobs or your own personal qualities? Would you take anything from this experience at all?
I think I would say that I would take away trying to stay calm, even though if the world feels like it's falling apart. Yeah, I don't know. It's just everybody remained calm and everything, even though we weren't affected too much. But yeah.
I think that's a great comment. That's a great observation, Andrea. I think, and you guys are business people. You're business majors. All right, that's your major. It doesn't mean you're going to have a whole career or a life in business. Maybe, maybe not. That's to be decided. But I think one of the attributes of being a good leader is to not be too up or too down. That's the aspect of being a good leader. And I think Trevor or anybody in our group here who plays athletics or plays in competitive team sports, yes, a win is great. You're excited for about 10, 15 minutes, but then you got to get back down to balance, and because you got another game the next night, or you got another task the next day. And you can't get too low if you're losing or you had a bad game. You got to go back up to that level and get prepared for the next one. And that's a strong attribute of being a good leader in managing an organization. Too many people get so excited. Our president, for one thing, gets too excited and it's not consistent. You can't trust the person. You can't lead people if they never know how you're reacting. And I think that's a very good point, Andrea, is to find not too high or too low, but have an even keel and take what it comes and manage it accordingly. I think that's a great observation. Trevor, what are your observations on the class? And you're speaking it definitely from a different perspective, because even though, yes, you're a member of the team and you've been at every class, you're in the context of being in another state. And that, even though you're online with us now and we see you, that's still a different perspective, because even you're farther away. So what are your reflections on the class?
Yeah, just to top up of what you were saying, being in Arizona when this first situation started to go down, I kind of thought our communication level is going to go down and it's going to be really hard to just stay on top of things. But the complete opposite happened, honestly. Like, I still feel like I'm in California in a sense, because I've been able to communicate really well with everybody in regards to shipping out a bunch of inventory. I've been on top of it. Just whatever anybody needed, I was there, and it really worked out. I thought it worked out really well.
I know you like many of your teammates. I mean, you were responsible for events, and we had no events. I mean, we literally had no events for 10 weeks. So how did that go down in your mind, and how did you adapt to that?
At first, I was a little disappointed that we couldn't get any events in, because we had some really strong events planned. But I think just moving towards social media marketing through just trying to send everything out through that channel, trying to talk to as many people as we can through online, different networks, friends, family, just whoever you can reach out to sell product. I thought it really worked out. I thought at the end of the day, I mean, we would have had more revenue through events, but even without it, we still did pretty successful. So
Good.
Yeah.
Thanks, Trevor. That's a good observation. Joe, being an operations guy, what is your perspective of how this all went down in your words?
I think it went pretty good. Given the circumstances, I wish we could have sold more and reached out to more people, but I think it went pretty good. I mean, we cleaned out all our inventory, so that was a highlight. So yeah.
How did if you had to do it over, what would you change, Joe?
If I had to do it over, good question. I don't really think I would change anything. I think, for me at least, I came into the group and I didn't know anyone. So I met everyone, and everyone was super friendly, and we all came together and united, and yeah, I mean.
Okay, good. One last question. Were you were one of those officers and one of those team members that had to file weekly reports. How was that? Was that a pain? Were you able to get through that okay? Any pros and cons of your side of doing all the reporting?
I enjoyed it. During the beginning, it was easy, the first week, and then when we distributed all the units the second week, and we didn't know that we were never going to come back to campus, that was kind of stressful, because there was a little bit of like communication on my end. So I had to go back and like figure everything out. But everything, like as the weeks went on, everything fell into place. So it was pretty enjoyable, like seeing everyone's stats and all that. So
Good. I've never heard of doing reports as enjoyable. That's a good perspective. That's a good job. Brittany, what are your reflections on the course and on how it went for you and your own particular duties?
I mean, I think it went really well as everyone's been saying, because we kept a positive attitude throughout the whole thing, where we could have easily been like, man, this sucks, we can't sell, all of our things got canceled. But I feel like we really pulled together as a team and stayed positive throughout the whole thing. No matter if there like were some weeks where we didn't really sell any units, we were still kind of like, okay, it's okay, there's another week, we can still keep selling. So I feel like that was definitely a big takeaway. Like, we all stayed positive and we communicated really well throughout the whole thing.
Mm-hmm. Good. Now, Brittany, I have been fortunate to be with you or be a teacher of yours since your freshman year,
Mm-hmm.
and I've seen you grow and change as a student, as a woman, as a person, and I think it's all been very positive. How is this course and where you are in your education right now? What is this going to do for you down the road? In other words, how is this going to help you, give you a different perspective, more confidence? How is all this going to help you in your eyes in your further studies and as you deal with the real world?
I mean, for one thing, I think it's improved my communication skills and like time management, because it's like it was already difficult. Not difficult, but the practicum is challenging already in class, let alone online. So I feel like that's a big takeaway. And then in terms of like what career path I want to do, I think I had mentioned it in one of my posts. I definitely don't want to do sales. Not that I'm not capable of it, but I've just noticed that's not really my strong suit. Whereas like I feel like I'd be more successful in going for human resources and dealing with people in terms of like what their benefits are, like letting them know like the laws and stuff and like ways to protect them. So I feel like that's definitely what I've learned from this.
And that's good. And also you're developing, and I'm not trying to put words in your mouth, but also if you're going to be chosen or be looking at a HR career or something along those lines, you're going to be dealing with people. Right. And I know when I had you as a freshman, you were one of the last students I would think would be really one to criticize openly or say their opinions openly. You were shy, you were quiet. Mm-hmm. But if you're going to be in HR, and I think you're at that point now, is you're able to express your feelings a little bit better, clearer. You're a little bit more confident in dealing with situations where yes or no, or whether you're going to be doing well or not. You're a little bit more confident about handling those situations. And I think that's a good thing going forward, especially if you're going to be in HR or dealing with people in management, because somebody's always going to be mad at you. Right. No matter if you're the best person in the world, somebody's always going to have a disagreement. Mm-hmm. And boy, you see a lot of that in the real world these days. Everybody's got an opinion. Everybody's doing it right or wrong, And I think that's a good thing to take out of this, is you're able to handle that situation and deal with it. And I think that's a good thing. Yeah. So well done. Steve Walker, what's your impression of all this? I've had you in a variety of courses, and I think you've done very well in this course. What's your impression of all this, Steve?
I think we did really well given the circumstance. If I could change something about how we started, was I wouldn't have put so much effort into packaging for events if I knew we weren't going to have them.
Good point.
I would have put more effort into the website earlier and just change how the order things went. But overall, I think we did a really good job with everything. I know personally I hate like going up to people and being like, hey, you want to look at our product, this is what we're selling for charity. And so I think doing this helped me overcome a little bit of that fear that exists when you're going up to somebody, fear of being like turned down or like, cussed at for, this.
I agree.
Yeah.
Steve, I'll tell you a little secret. I'm exactly the same way. You might be surprised about that, but I do not like people criticizing me or telling me that I did something wrong, even though I did do something wrong and I did something, that should be challenged, or say somebody saying something negative to me. That is one of my fears that I've existed all my life. Now, a lot of people would not, if you ask my wife about that, she would say, bullshit. Rick can handle anything. What are you talking about? But that's seriously, down deep inside, I do not like to be criticized. I do not like people to say no. If any one of you came up to me on the street or sent me an email criticizing me, and rightly so, that I didn't do my job, I would be very, very upset about that, because I've let you down and then I've let myself down. I do not like that. And that's a tough thing to deal with as you go on in your life, because you are going to make mistakes. Good God, I make a mistake every morning when I wake up. And so you're going to deal with that. And how you deal with that is maturity, confidence. And Stephen, you should end your fear of sales. You should try to keep, even though you might not be a salesman all your life, try to put yourself in situations where you have to sell something to somebody, not like a product, but yourself. Sell yourself to somebody. That's a big deal, especially if you want to be in the internet or be in communications or be in technology. There's a lot of competition out there. You have to sell yourself, and that's a big deal. And sometimes you're going to be knocked down. How you come back from that is how you'll be successful. And I think that's a great point, Stephen. That's a very good point. So it's been a pleasure. I agree with you. One of the things, and I've mentioned this in the last class, one of the things we're working on as a team to run the practicum is we're really going to concentrate over the summer of developing online internet activity and websites and sales. I think that's needed. Even if we come back to campus normal terms next year, I still think we should develop online sales, have 2 or 3 team members exclusively dealing with online stuff. And the reason why we haven't done that, or haven't done that very well, is we haven't given you, we meaning the administration, the skills and the tools and the technology to do that, because we've been intimidated by how we handle the infrastructure and collecting money and the liability and all that. So we're going to work, it's not going to do you guys any good, but we're going to take the experience from this semester and try to develop something better for next fall, and more on lines of the internet, because there's going to be classes in some shape or form on campus next year, but also there's going to be classes not on campus next year. That's a fact too. We just don't have the infrastructure and the capability of bringing everybody back safe in a safe environment. That's going to be changed. So that online, that internet thing is still going to happen next year, and how we get more comfortable with that is a key, and also a key for you students, because you're going to go out in a real world environment. Geez, I just read an article in the Wall Street Journal this week that's a likelihood forever now. A lot of people are going to be working from home, no matter what. Forget the pandemic; it's just going to happen. And so you're going to be involved in that situation in your career, and so that's something to be aware of. So thank you, Stephen. Samantha, my buddy. Samantha went fishing today with her family. I thought that was cute. She went fishing with her dad. God love him. And so Samantha, what are your reflections? I'm sorry to embarrass you. I probably shouldn't have said that.
Okay.
So Samantha, what are your reflections and observations of the class?
So reflections on a personal level, I would say I've always been like a leader, but I don't really work well with people, and I hate group projects.
That's different.
I hate group projects. I think I could be like a micromanager, and I can be like on everybody, and I want it my way and stuff like that. And I think this has really helped me grow in that. Granted, I got a really great team. I think all of us were really close outside of academics and the business. We just got really close, and we didn't really have any conflicts. And I know that happens with a lot of the teams throughout all the semesters. So I think that would be a big takeaway. I think our communication was really great. We just used GroupMe mainly, but I just think whenever we had any issues or miscalculations or whatever, like everybody would respond quickly, and we would get it worked out really quickly, and everyone, took care of what they needed to take care of. And for the most part, there wasn't really any issues with anyone not doing their job. And I think our marketing was really great. We had some great ideas from Danny with like the videos and different marketing things and graphics, and our sales were super successful. And I agree with you with the website thing, because Stephen did spend time making us a website. And since we couldn't do e-commerce, I just think, what's the point of someone going to a website if they can't buy our product from it? So that would be a great addition for the future.
And then I think I'll call on you and Stephen and anybody else next fall or over the summer to help us in that thinking and get your feedback and expertise on that. Samantha, now you make everything to be out so rosy and nice, which it was, but what would you change, Samantha? Would you change the way Matthew stalks you on the internet? Would you change anything else in regard?
Okay, well, if you want honesty,
Come on now, Professor, you got to throw me on blast.
I mean, you know, we had issues with Alan. I think that you know about that, just having him sell. So I think that was the biggest thing. Just, I think all of us worked super hard to sell. All of us really did. I'm really proud of our individual sales because that's all we have. And I think if he had done sales, we could have done more or sold out faster, whatever. But other than that, I mean, honestly, it was rosy for me. Like going into the experience, I was dreading it and I was excited on the same time because I picked Laverne partially for this program, but I also was like scared of it because I thought it was going to be so much work and I have to work with people, but it was really great, honestly. Hey, it's not to you, it's to my team.
That's okay. That's all right. Great answer. And yes, there's always things you got to fix, and I don't want to throw people under the bus. This is not that vehicle. But yeah, but this is a learning experience. Sometimes people are going to surprise you in a good way, but also people are going to surprise you in a bad way. And that's part of learning, and that's part of being a manager, as you said. That's part of being a leader, to be able to handle that situation. And I think that's a good thing. And finally, our distinguished leader, and I wish he would show himself so we could see his look this evening, is Matthew. Any deep, dark reflections on our behalf from you?
So I'm on a construction site right now, so I'm not exactly looking the cleanest. So that's the reason.
All right, yeah, sure.
So overall, I'm extremely satisfied with like what we did and how we prospered and our progress throughout. As everyone said, you know, our communication, I think that was the key. Our organization was there, you know, whenever anybody had like an issue, they reached out or they said in the group chat, hey, what's going on? And I thought that was really great because a lot of people kind of want to figure out themselves and not make themselves look dumb in front of everybody else. So that was very effective. But overall, I do think that, so going into this, I felt confident just because myself, I feel like I would have wanted to sell everything even if other people weren't doing their part, and I probably would have taken over their portion as well. But overall, I'm extremely happy that I didn't have to do that. Everyone sold their units. Everyone, you know, was talking and explaining what they're doing and why they didn't sell enough units or why they did sell more units that week. And that's just awesome that we were able to communicate in that regard.
I think you may have brought up a good point, Matthew, but I would take a different perspective of it. If you feel that people are not selling or holding their fair share as far as sales, I would say it's a bad manager to go about and you take up the responsibility of making those sales. I would think you would train and help that person to achieve their sales goals. Not you pick up the slack for selling, but you would help them and give them the tools and the support to make them better and enjoy or be a part of the team. I think that's more of a leader than what you said. But
I agree.
Either way,
that's something I struggle with.
Yeah, either way, that's part of learning.
Yeah.
That's part of.
Right.
I was the exact same thing when I was 30 years old. Oh, I was going to do everything. I was going to work 90-hour weeks and do it all. But you quickly learn that you cannot be successful if you do it that way. And I think that's a good point to bring up. Also, Matthew, when you and I got together way back in January, and that seems so long ago now.
Right.
And you were, interested in the CEO job, and we were sitting down and with Sam and figuring out who was going to do what and all that sort of thing. Do you think this was worthwhile for you?
I 100% think this was worthwhile. Not only does it give me like more confidence now because I'm an entrepreneur and like by nature, and so this only gives me more of the drive to go and do my own thing and not have a boss and try to succeed on my own. But not only in those terms, I think this program especially this semester was extremely like awesome because obviously we're going to go through a recession right now, and a weird recession because of what's going on with the coronavirus. And so I think I just want to throw this out there. We profited like $2,300. And so imagine what we could have done if this was a normal semester. And so that gives me extremely like confidence in every one of our teammates here, because that shows that we can do more and we're capable of a lot.
Okay, great answer. Very good, Matthew. I appreciate that. Danny, do you have anything to add? I know Danny has been through this before and has been part of success, and also she's had some failures. But Danny, what's your reflection on any of this?
I think to kind of address the team as a whole, I'm insanely proud. This is the second time that I've been, an assistant, and for the second time in a row, I've been blessed with an amazing team. It was definitely nothing like my experience, which is good. I love that you guys work together. I think a few key things that you mentioned, though, is something that really stuck out to me that you just said, Mr. Hassey, was kind of from here on out, as you guys are starting to become upperclassmen and get to your senior classes and stuff, you'll realize the importance of branding yourself, and realizing that how each brand, what's their mission, what's their vision, what is yours, what is your mission, what is your vision, what are your goals, what is your logo, and kind of going out into the field of work and applying for jobs. That's something extremely important to stress. So that's something that I kind of just want to highlight that Mr. Hassey said. Secondly, the role of e-commerce. It's incredible now, the things that people are doing, and how Amazon kind of controls e-commerce right now, and there's a reason why so many people are going towards online. They want their stuff now, they want it fast, they want convenience, they want it easy. So I think moving forward with this program, as far as marketing and public relations and utilizing Canva, that's a big one, to make flyers, to make banners, doing videos, just having a web presence, a social media presence is something that is extremely important. But no, I can't be more proud of you guys. Coming into this, knowing that Matt was the CEO, I think I was extremely happy because I had a really good idea that, he would be a strong leader. And I couldn't have asked for much more. There's other groups that really, really struggled these past few months with sales and just motivation, but you guys really, really stayed on top of it. And whether or not, we're number one, I couldn't be prouder. So it's a good way. It's a good way to end the semester.
Thanks, Danny. I appreciate it. Appreciate all your help. And we'll talk later. Emily, do you have anything to add to this, young lady?
I do. I think going back to what you said about the New York Times article, how some people possibly aren't going back to an in-person job, that they'll be working from home. I think what you guys can learn is that you guys were able to, learn through this complex time that you guys had to communicate and sell to others through, online messages. So I think that that's a huge benefit that you guys had to unfortunately learn. There wasn't much advice because I was learning along the way as you guys. So it's just been really fun seeing you guys succeed and just seeing your numbers. I'm super proud of you guys.
Well said, Emily. Thank you. All right. So that's it. I'll see you guys all on Thursday. We will meet Thursday. I want to go over a couple of last things about the future and about what you guys can take from this, in my opinion. We'll talk a little bit about that on Thursday. Don't forget your reflection paper. And I think if you put down on words what all of you have said today, I think that'll be a good read and worth the while of people who are going to read these papers after you submit them. Does anybody have any other issues, comments, questions? When I did this in the last class, this opened up a can of worms, as Emily can attest. But does anybody have any other issues or questions that you might have?
I have a comment or question. Can you please get Rawson to teach us more about actual marketing?
Oh my gosh, I know that was horrible, Mr. Hassey. Like, I don't feel like we learned anything from her class.
She
It's kind
could
of
have
sad.
told us like, to use Canva or anything like.
Yeah.
She just sent us videos on Taco Bell and BMW and told us to learn.
We watched BMW advertisements from like the early 2000s.
And said which one was better.
And then she continues to talk about how the World Cup, and I'm not actually sure what that has to do with anything.
And then she fell off the face of the earth for like a week and a half.
2 weeks.
No assignments.
I talked to her about that. she said that she sent us emails, to which I screenshotted my own emails and sent them to her and was like, please tell me where these are.
Oh my gosh.
Well, I'm not going to put anybody under the bus here, but we've talked about this before, and Emily gave us another example in the last class. Emily, you want to talk about that?
Sure. So I don't know what classes you guys registered for next semester, but one of the classes that I am currently taking, operations management with I'm not even going to try to pronounce her name, but it's spelled CAO. Before this all happened, she rarely taught us. And then I think the week before spring break let out, she said that she wasn't feeling well, and claimed she had symptoms of COVID-19 and still proceeded to teach class and hand out our exams. I mean, she didn't, or at least she didn't share that information with us. But the fact that she wasn't taking the proper precautions to make us feel safe in her class was really irresponsible. And when we moved online, she didn't teach us anything. She, like your marketing professor, we didn't have any Zoom classes online. The exams were super hard. So if next semester you guys do have to go online or even in person and we're still dealing with this pandemic like COVID-19, I suggest finding another professor, because I don't think you guys would benefit from her like your marketing professor. So
Yeah, Emily, you're right, because I'm in your class with her. And
Oh yeah.
She just doesn't know how to teach, I think. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, for her to just not, I mean, I'm a senior and I'm supposed to be graduating and learning as much as I can before. And the fact that I learned more about her husband's business than anything else was really bad.
Okay. Well, again, this is a learning experience for not only you guys, but for many of the staff and the faculty of the university. And hopefully all of us will do better from this and do better next time. But again, and we got into this in the last class, if you feel that you as a student are not getting the value for your tuition dollars and the value of your education, you have the right to let people know about that. And not so much it's going to do you any good now because the class is over, but for future, you don't want to put your friends or future students involved in that. And that's what Emily's doing here. Yeah, you know, yes, a lot of faculty, staff, including yours truly. Well, I'm learning from this too. But at the same time, my priority is the student, not whether my husband has a great business or whether I have a BMW that I want to show off. That is not my priority here. And my priority is the students. So that's, if you feel you're not getting that priority, you need to let the proper people know, because that's dangerous and that's a waste of money. It's a waste of your time, and that's important. And you guys will know this more and more as you get older. People who waste your time, you don't want anything to do with. Tell them to get lost. You don't want to waste your time. Your time's too valuable. What you want to do is too valuable. And if somebody's wasting your time, tell them to get lost and stay away from them. They're not worth the bother. And so that's something you learn, and we are learning from this. So I appreciate that and that feedback. All right, anything else?
Professor Hassey, I just want to thank you. I think you were a great mentor for this program, especially for us, because not only, it's not like you were completely laissez-faire, but you did give us our space and you didn't micromanage, but when we did need help, you were there to give us our advice and to, guide us to hopefully success.
Thank you, Matthew.
That's thank you.
Very well. Thank you. I appreciate that. And I know I don't like to hear that, but I appreciate and thank you very much, Matthew. That's very good.
I'll be sure to tell you again on Thursday then.
No, don't do that. Tell Professor Rossen that, okay? And let her know.
All right.
No, I'm teasing. All right, guys. Again, I'm recording this so I can get fired by Friday, and this will be posted to our YouTube site for all to see. And I encourage my colleagues to visit our YouTube site, because it's good to hear from students. It's good to see how students succeed, but it's also good to see how students fail and respond to that. And this is one of the contexts of this program, this course, is not only we want you to sell and make $2,300, but if you lose $500. As long as you learned and got better of it, that's just as successful. And so that's important to know. All right, guys, I'll see you Thursday afternoon. Adios.
Thank you.
Thank you, Professor.
Bye.
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 Bye, Sam.